In this video, we're going to take a look at included forming part of the Tier 2 challenges. Keep in mind that this video is not meant to encourage any illegal activities. I have already done the Nmap scan and we only have port 80 open, running Apache. And here straight away we can note that the URL has a potential local file inclusion vulnerability, LFI. Currently it loaded home.php by specifying the path for it via the file parameter. Such vulnerability typically arises when a web application does not properly validate or sanitize the user input, allowing an attacker to manipulate file inclusion mechanisms to read sensitive files from the server. To confirm if this is the case on this web server, I will try to load up the /etc/PA/SSWD on our browser, and as we can see here, it printed all its contents. Thanks to this output, we have a better understanding of what exists on this particular machine. The last entry, as we have marked here, is that of TFTP. With this information in mind, I decided to run a UDP scan on the same host, as this might reveal other services, like TFTP in this case. This scan took ages, over 1000 seconds or 15 minutes for the ones that find it hard to convert. But finally, we got a promising result. There seems to be actually TFTP running on the target host. To load up more details about TFTP, we can use the man pages by issuing the man TFTP as displayed here. Let's see if we can access it by using TFTP followed by the host IP address, and voila, it didn't require any authentication at all. This could potentially enable us to upload files, so let's create a reverse shell PHP payload and then try to upload it via TFTP. I will head over to refshells.com, and as I have showcased in previous videos, this website can provide you with any kind of reverse shell for any kind of OS. You can find the link to it in the description down below. I will also populate it with my details so that I won't need to do much else. PHP Pentest Monkeys is the script we can use in this case, so I will be copying it from the website and pasting it onto a file on our Kali Linux, and then upload it via TFTP to the remote host. Once we are done with the file, I will connect to the TFTP server again and put the file on the server. We will not get any logging to confirm our upload here, but it seems like it has been done. One last piece of the puzzle is setting up a netcat listener on our machine, which will await the reverse shell connection. With everything in place, we just need to find out where the file was uploaded to. So I will just Google it quickly, and from the Ubuntu website we can come to a conclusion that it's on varlib tftp boot. We can use this information now to load up our reverse shell script, which will communicate back to our netcat listener. And indeed, on our netcat we have a new reverse shell connection that is currently running as www-data. With all this information at hand, let's jump into the HackTheBox portal to answer some questions and maybe gain some insights on what comes next. The service running on UDP is TFTP, and as we discussed earlier, the vulnerability the web page is exposed to is local file inclusion. Question 3 can be answered by copy and pasting what we found earlier on the Ubuntu website, so I'm just going to do that quickly. Now to the next question, we have a very useful hint. There should be a file which will enable us to do lateral movement. Let's check out quickly the directory where the web page is saved, as that might have the important files. Here we have two files which look interesting, the htaccess and htpassword. Let's get out the first one and try again without missing the full stop before the file name. This file doesn't contain much interesting information, so let's go on to the next one, and as we can witness here on screen, we have a password for Mike, which is an account on this machine. Whilst trying to switch to the newly found account, we got a small error here, which can be resolved by upgrading our shells, so I will do that. And here we go, we are now Mike. I will print out the group memberships for this account, and this confirms Mike is not part of root, but it is part of LXD. Let's talk about this after some more portal questions. I will copy and paste the name of the file that gave us the credentials for Mike, which is .htpasswd, and for the next question this is going to be LXD, as foreshadowed before. There is a vulnerability which will let us escalate to the root user on systems that have this container hypervisor installed. Another way that would help us identify how to privilege escalate our current access is with Linpeas. I will download it quickly here on the remote machine and run it after adding the executable bit to the script. Linpeas will do various checks and it highlights any potential flaws that can be taken advantage of in order for us to escalate our privileges. This will take a few seconds or minutes to complete. And finally, we can skim through its output, and as shown here, we can confirm that Linpeas has also highlighted LXD as a potential way to escalate our privileges. Just going to stop this video here for a few seconds to remind you to drop this video a like if you are following along and finding it helpful, as this totally makes my day better. Also, consider subscribing if such content is of interest, so you don't miss out on future videos. Now, back to the challenge at hand. With all this information gathered, let's search on how it's best to take advantage of the current situation. HackTheBox, another website that we have used previously, seemed to have a very detailed guide on how to have this done. First off, I try to make use of the already made image, but the remote host doesn't seem to have access to the internet, so in this case I will be building the image myself and then push it to the remote host. Let's start by updating our system and make sure that the dependencies are present on our machine. This will take a few minutes, and then we will clone the repository and change the directory to start building the image. Once done, we will create a directory where we will be downloading the YAML file to finally complete the image. The build finished successfully, and we now have two files. In my case, the file names were different from the instructions given on the website, so I will just follow them but use the file names that I have on my system. At this point, we just need to have the files transferred over to the remote host. And this is the part where I struggled a lot, as Squash file just didn't want to get uploaded. I have tried to upload it via TFTP and over a Python web server, which both of them failed. In the end, I fixed it by changing the VPN type to TCP on the HackTheBox portal and restarted the remote host. Once the files were uploaded, I just imported the image from the mic user and then set the config to mount the root folder into /mount/root. Then I started the container and connected to its shell. With all this done, finally we are now root on the container, and we have the files mounted in /mount/root. This means that we can navigate anywhere within the root system and open whatever we would like. And to showcase this, I will just navigate to the root's home folder and retrieve the flag from it. Let's go back to the portal and finish up the pending questions that we have there. For task 6, the answer is Alpine, and we have set the flag as shown here on the HackTheBox website, which is security.privileged equals true. We have mounted the file system in /mnt/root. And here I made a bit of an oopsie as I did not retrieve the user flag. So I will just quickly navigate to Mike's folder and retrieve the flag from there. With both flags printed on our terminal, we can just copy and paste both flags into their respective questions, and with that, we shall wrap up this challenge. If you have done it till this part and still have the urge to hack things, let's hack the YouTube algorithm by liking this video and subscribing so that you won't miss out on future content. Thank you for following along, and as always, stay curious, keep learning.